Our next guest is a numbers guy and watches this stuff every day. Please welcome to the show America's accountant, Dan Geltrude. Dan, I covered a lot of different things there. You can choose any which one you want to pick out, but I'll start with this. I think that the last thing to really turn is jobs. I think that's going to be a key thing going forward. I'm going to really be watching that for the last part of this year.
I agree with you on that, especially because there are still so many job openings out there. So, the jobs number is just really, it's all over the place. What do you make of unemployment going up or going down? What does it mean when there's still 11 million job openings? The point I want to focus in on is what's going to happen related to retail spending. Now, Scott, I'm going to tell you this. Of what I'm going to predict here is that retail spending and retail revenue are going to be up. And it's going to be up for two reasons. One, inflation. Stuff is more expensive. But on top of that, even though American households are feeling the impact of inflation, they don't seem to be afraid of debt, specifically credit card debt. Everything is pointing towards Americans are going to increase their amount of spending and do it through credit cards. Bad idea, especially a bad idea in this environment when we know that interest rates are going to go up. So all this spending is going to cost a heck of a lot more for the American consumer.
And to your point, St. Louis Fed President Bullard said last week rates could go to between, say, 5 and 7%. Today they're at 4. What does that do to your credit card rate? If you start to see mortgages around 9, your credit card rates are going to jump into the mid-20s. I mean, that's going to be something that these folks are going to be waking up with a bad holiday hangover. And I'll say this is one thing I think is that I don't like about it. It's disingenuous to tell these people that it's transitory, we're going to get through this quickly, because you and I both know that inflation takes off like a rocket, but it's going to be a while. We're going to have this talk this time next year about inflation and where it's at. And I bet you it's probably between 4 and 5% by then, right? It's going to be a stair-step, slow thing going lower. And I say it all the time. It was 6.6% in 1971 when Nixon had that problem, and it took 4 presidents to finally solve it with Reagan in 1981. So this isn't going away anytime soon.
Well, you talk about disingenuous. How about there's people out there celebrating a 7.7% CPI rate? Wow, that's great. We're down from 8 point something and 9. This is great. Yeah, this is great. So let's see where we are going to be a year from now. Unfortunately, because there's many people out there that are going to get caught up in emotional spending during the holidays. Well, you talk about a hangover. That hangover is going to last a long time based upon how interest rates go up and up and up. Scott, there's going to be people out there that are going to spend this holiday season, and they're never going to get out of that hole. And as you just said, inflation takes off. It doesn't come down so easy, which means the interest rates aren't going to come down so fast either. So it's a bad formula for those who don't really comply with some type of budget to keep their spending and their finances in order.
So just to go back to a previous point, you're right. Real quick. Look, we've got metrics that Amazon can pay for and FedEx can pay for that basically can see the economy around the corner, right? What's going to be happening next? They have all the money in the world to figure that out. Now, Dan, I don't know about you, but I'm old enough to remember Amazon going bananas trying to hire a bunch of temp workers going into the holidays. But this year they fired 10,000 people going into the holidays? Why isn't that a bigger deal?
Well, you would think it should be, Scott. But again, what gets reported in the mainstream media and what you talk about are certainly two different things. You and I have talked about that. Amazon, for example, yes, they are an online retail seller. But more than that, they're a data collection company. As we've said, Amazon knows what you want to buy before you know, because they could read your mind. And not only that, they're rewiring your brain in terms of what you're going to buy, right? So if they're cutting back, what are they telling everybody? They're telling everybody there's going to be choppy waters ahead, and they're anticipating that and reacting accordingly. So I'm glad you're the one out there telling people, be aware of what's coming.
Yeah, and it's like not just Amazon. It's the CEO of FedEx. His statements were fairly alarming about what he's been seeing in the movement of those packages. And then over 50% of Twitter is been sacked. And you've got all of these. And Meta, how many people have they let go? I think 13% of their workforce. I mean, these aren't small numbers, and they're just not coming through into the data that I see. I wonder why.
They're not. But listen, Scott, unless you're going to start taking people who were working at Meta and then place them in restaurants and other places where we really need people,
right,
the problem doesn't go away. These are not jobs that are being lost. And you know what? They can go work somewhere else. It actually doesn't fit that way, right? Because where those job openings are not where the job cuts are coming from to be able to move people around.
You're so right.
We're going to be in a strange place of millions of job openings and potentially millions of people unemployed at the same time.
Okay, love it.